Okay, this should be live. I am going to share this stream on multiple platforms, and then we'll get right into it. So today it's going to be a little bit of a joint coverage right now between two systems, namely Mirasol and Nando, both of which are threats, but we are currently code red for 23W, also known as Mirasol. Just going to share the stream. And again, if you have any questions and you are watching this after it goes live, you can always leave them in the comments and I will answer that towards the next update. Alright, let's get into it. Let me just make sure that this is actually live. Okay, perfect. So, as you can see here, this is going to be a little bit of a problem, but we're going to be first covering the nearest term threat, which is going to be Tropical Depression 23W, also known as Mirasol, in the South China Sea right now. It's emerged off the Philippines, and it is expected to reorganize some before it moves into Guangdong province, and we could see some possible impacts for Hong Kong as well. Currently, again, we're forecasting or estimating it's a tropical depression right now. Not that organized as one, but it is expected to strengthen some into a tropical storm, maybe moderate tropical storm, before it makes landfall somewhere in eastern Guangdong province. It is then forecast to gradually weaken inland as a tropical depression within the next 48 hours, and then remnant low beyond that, and it should dissipate within the next 3 to 4 days. We are pretty confident that this will make a landfall, and the impacts are most likely going to be confined to the east of wherever it makes landfall. That's because the system is lopsided, and we will get into that later in the update. But looking at the marginal impacts, or overall the threat level, there is a possibility of marginal impacts for a very broad area along the coast, including nearly the entirety of Guangdong province, southwestern Fujian province, and southeastern Guangxi province. This is mainly a rainfall threat. All three of these categories are going to be due to rain, not necessarily wind. There is a slight impacts from the border of Fujian and Guangdong province off towards the west, towards Hong Kong. This is again in the form of rain, and there is the possibility of moderate impacts along the coast there only if the system is able to organize enough in time. And this is again going to be due to rainfall. Now, taking a quick break and looking at the global view of tropics right now, we have a fair amount going on. We have Gabrielle, which is likely nearly a tropical cyclone right now, and it is expected to curve out to sea. It may pose a threat to Bermuda, but it should stay away from the continental United States and Atlantic Canada. We have 96E, which is also nearly a tropical cyclone. The system is expected to move off towards the northwest and not impact land. Let me just make sure that I have shared this. There we go. And we also have the remnants of Mario, which is expected to dissipate over the next probably day or so, but the remnant moisture is going to move in towards the northwest or southwestern United States. In the western Pacific, we have a lot going on. We have Tropical Depression 91W, now, which is expected to become a tropical storm, maybe typhoon or even major typhoon. It is very uncertain as to where it's going to go, if it's going to keep moving west or if it's going to curve out to sea. Still, though, I think that the Ryukyu Islands and Japan should watch that system fairly closely. We'll continue to have updates on that system over the coming days. Now, our primary focus here, or our two primary focuses, are going to be 23W, which is expected to, again, strengthen to a tropical storm before moving into China. And then this beast right here, 90W, which may already be a tropical cyclone now. This update is around 3 hours ago. It may already be a tropical cyclone now. This system is expected to organize fairly quickly and potentially become a major or even super typhoon. We could see a Cat 4 or Cat 5 out of this as it nears the Baboon group of islands and the Batanes Islands, or maybe Taiwan or northern Luzon. And then after that, we also have a disturbance with a 10% chance of development, mainly in the next 7 to 10 days. But let's take this one threat at a time, all right? All right, now starting off by looking at the visible imagery of Tropical Depression 23W, we can see that there is a little bit of a swirl here to the west of where the center was estimated by the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. I do believe that this is probably the main center of it. It is a lopsided system. So as you can see here, a lot of the thunderstorm activity is going to be on the eastern side of the center. And the center is expected to move towards the northwest, and with that, it's going to be bringing these thunderstorms inland on the eastern side of wherever it makes landfall. We can also see some of these thunderstorms impacting southern Taiwan. Generally, though, it is beginning to move away from the Philippines. Looking at the infrared imagery here, we can see those powerful thunderstorms off towards the eastern side. Again, you can see the center not really having a lot of convection where that is located. Looking at the sea surface temperatures right now, it is expected to stay around 29 to 30 degrees Celsius as it continues nearing China. The South China Sea is quite warm. There may be a pocket of 28 degrees Celsius or so, but still it is quite warm. There is not really a recent scatterometer pass I can show. Now, if we take a look at the distance from certain areas, from the center here, it's roughly around 370 kilometers away from the coast of the Philippines, roughly around 430 from the coast of Taiwan, roughly around 420 from the coast of China, similar value for Hong Kong, and then looking towards Guangxi province, around 750 kilometers away. Where it will likely eventually make landfall, it is roughly 400 kilometers, and that number continues to drop. Now, if we take a look at the model runs on these two systems, this is going to be from the European run. I will actually show a earlier run that shows more on mainly for Nando. So we can see that it does have Mirasol strengthening, potentially as a tropical storm or moderate tropical storm before making landfall and quickly dissipating over land. We then have these two other systems here, 91W I believe, and Nando, right here. And you can see 91W becomes a typhoon rather quickly within the next 3 days or so. And it continues to intensify possibly to a major typhoon by the time Nando becomes a typhoon. Beyond that, now looking at the 5-day range, we have a major typhoon out of 91W and a roughly Category 2 strength system out of Nando as that continues to push inland or push towards the Luzon Strait. Could impact the Batanes Islands or the Baboon group of islands there. But regardless of wherever this is going to be centered, there will still be impacts for parts of Taiwan and northern Luzon of the Philippines. Looking beyond that, though, 91W is not able to escape on this model run, and it goes to the southwest instead. Meanwhile, Nando is now a major typhoon in the South China Sea, moving towards Hong Kong, China, and then moving rather quickly there off towards the west and impacts Vietnam within the next 8 days or so, before then dissipating over southeastern Asia. And then looking further in the model run, it does show 91W eventually curving back to the northwest, and it could become a problem for Japan. I did not see this run earlier. That is a little bit worrying if it cannot escape to the northeast. Real quickly, I am going to check why that is, because I swear, okay, I guess it just never gets picked up on this run. Earlier runs, though, should show it getting dragged out. Is this becoming a worrying trend? If I pull up the AI models, let's see. The AI model still wants it to move towards the northeast. Still, though, if it moves to the southwest and makes that jog, it could become a threat to Japan, the Ryukyu Islands, and maybe Taiwan, but that's a little bit too far out. So that's why all these systems need to be watched. Looking at the American run, it does show the system strengthening into a tropical storm, maybe trying to near typhoon status out of Mirasol, but Nando quickly becomes a major typhoon, potentially within the next 4 days, before moving into the Luzon Strait by day 5. It will continue moving, but notice where it's in on the Luzon Strait. It's by the Batanes Islands, And still, it's not showing a direct landfall for Taiwan or a direct landfall for the Philippines. Excuse me, Luzon in the Philippines. Could see a landfall in the Batanes Islands there. Those are these islands are located right here, and the Baboon group of islands are down here. Both of those could see a landfall. And then the system fortunately weakened some before making it into China and Hong Kong. So really, Hong Kong should also be watching the system fairly closely. The entire coast of Guangdong and Guangxi provinces should pay attention to the system very closely over the coming days before the system eventually dissipates over southeastern Asia. Interesting to see another system in the North Indian Ocean. We'll see how that goes. Looking at the German run here, I'll pull up a previous run. It does show this system staying a lopsided storm here. You can see all the thunderstorms on the eastern side of Mirasol by the time it makes landfall just east of Hong Kong. And so those thunderstorms, those heavier rainfall rates will be to the east of wherever it makes landfall. Now, if we're looking at, let's see, Nando here, it does become a typhoon within the next 3 days or so on this model run and becomes a major typhoon by day 4 to 5. This one has it fairly far to the south, just clipping the Baboon group of islands there, and it has it as a very powerful storm, potentially even Cat 5 on this model run here after it enters the South China Sea. Still keeps it as a strong system and plows into Hong Kong by day 7 as a major typhoon, likely category 3 or 4 at that point. And we can see, unfortunately, another disturbance that tries to develop after that. Again, let's try to take it one at a time here. We're kind of covering two at once with this, but again, this next system is going to be the major threat. Looking at the Canadian run, it doesn't really show Mirasol that well. Just maybe has it as a weak tropical depression, but it does show Nando becoming a possible major typhoon, and this one has a little bit farther to the north. I wouldn't exactly believe that, but that's why Taiwan should also be watching the system closely. Regardless of where it goes, if you saw on the German run here, you can see heavy rainfall happening along the eastern coast of Taiwan, I believe, due to that topographic lift. So again, lots of rainfall possible there. If we pull up total accumulated precipitation, a lot of rain there, over 300 millimeters or so, and we'll cover that in a bit. Now, looking at ensembles here, we can see some development out of Mirasol, but really these two next systems, 91W and Nando, are going to be the main threats, with Nando being the most major. So we can see there is still some uncertainty if it's going to hit northern Luzon, if it's going to go through the Luzon Strait by the Baboon group of islands, the Batanes Islands, or if it makes landfall in Taiwan, which that can't be ruled out either. Something else that's kind of important to notice is 91W here kind of splits up. There's a fork in the road. Does it move off towards the northeast towards this trough? Does it try and follow that, or does it try to meander to the southwest? That's going to be a problem we'll need to watch out in the longer range here, because if it starts moving towards the west, we could have a major typhoon meandering near Japan, which that's never a good sign. Alright, now looking at the ensembles on here, we can see that difference, that spread right here. Does it go off towards the northeast or towards the west? Again, though, you can see the certainty on 90W, which it looks like we have 24W now. Is that correct? Oh, 24W is out of that next system. 23W. Okay. I swear that's not right. Sorry. Just gotta check. Yeah, this is 23W. That's 90. Okay, I'm confused. Sorry about that. I don't know why this is saying that, but again, though, you can see where it's expected to go. It could hit Taiwan, it could hit the northern coast of Luzon, but the main threats are going to be the southernmost tip of Taiwan, but the two primary threats are going to be the Baboon group of islands, and the biggest threat of where it could hit is going to be the Batanes Islands. Now, looking at the American ensembles here, they don't really show much out of 91W. I've noticed that it's mainly been the AI models, and then the other models have started to pick up on it. It's likely already a tropical cyclone, so this isn't really doing a great job handling that, but we can see it showing Nando becoming a major typhoon there, and then meanders in the South China Sea, could make landfall in Vietnam. That can't be ruled out. And it gets pretty spread out beyond the 5-day range of where exactly it could go, and you could see that on here. Generally, though, the American ensembles are more to the south compared to the European ensembles. Still could see impacts in Taiwan and northern Luzon, but again, mainly the Batanes Islands and the Babuin group of islands really need to pay attention to this. Now, looking at the AI model here, it does show 23W developing into a tropical cyclone, staying as a tropical storm generally. But we can see there two other systems with which, once again, 91W potentially becoming a major typhoon, moving off towards the northeast away from Japan, at least on this run. And again, though, we have a major typhoon, at least on this here. Let me actually update that. Sorry about that. Yes, and then a major typhoon here in the Luzon Strait before eventually plowing into Hong Kong. Looking at the trends, generally staying pretty consistent that Hong Kong could get impacts out of this, and in the Luzon Strait, it hasn't really moved a whole lot over the past 2 days or so as to model trends. So a little bit worrying for the Luzon Strait there. But it seems like the worst impacts will miss parts of Manila and the rest of Luzon. Mainly the northern parts of Luzon should get the worst impacts. After that, though, we can see another possible tropical cyclone try to develop and move into the Philippines. That's going to be in the next 7 to 10 days or so, so we have plenty of time to watch that as well. Now, if we take a look at the rainfall potential over the next 5 days from various model runs, this is going to be a combination of two storms. Generally, if we're looking at China, this is going to be due to Mirasol, and if we're looking at the Philippines and parts of Taiwan, that's mainly going to be due to Nando. So looking at the impacts for Mirasol here, upwards of 200 millimeters along the coast, that's east of Hong Kong, and this is for China. And Hong Kong could get around only 30 millimeters of rain. They could scrape by if the system continues to stay lopsided. Looking at the Babuin group of islands here, from Nando, there could be rainfall amounts as high as 320 millimeters of rain, with the Batanes Islands to the north getting some lower amounts of 100 to 150 millimeters. Parts of Taiwan could get around the same totals. Looking at the American run here, we can see parts of China getting around 200 millimeters of rain and Hong Kong getting in only around 30 millimeters. Parts of Taiwan getting in 100 to 200 millimeters, and the Batanes Islands getting over 300 millimeters, nearly 400 millimeters of rain, and the Babuin group of islands at around 100 to 200, with northern Luzon getting in at around 100. We can see, though, off to where it's at right now, it could dump upwards of 500 millimeters out to sea. Looking at the German run, which this has been the one consistently showing the most amount of precipitation. If we look at the Guangdong right now, rainfall totals of 200 to 300 millimeters, whereas Hong Kong gets in at around 50 millimeters. The eastern coast of Taiwan could see 200 to 300 millimeters of rain, and looking at the Batanes Islands, 200 to 300 millimeters of rain, and parts of the Babuin group of islands could see well over 400 millimeters of rain, nearing 500 millimeters of rainfall. That is pretty bad. And also parts of northern Luzon gets in at around those same rainfall totals of around 400 millimeters. Alright, so that should be generally everything here. I'll pull up some of these other models. See, I don't believe they're going to show much for any of those areas. Now, if we take a look at the Pagasa forecast, which we should get an update now any moment, I'm going to check. Okay, here's their updates on Mirasol, having it as a tropical storm impacting Hong Kong. Nando, they have now updated that forecast. I am going to make a post about this real quick, just replying to Bagasa's post, mainly on Facebook. I believe they made a post about it. No, they have not. Okay. So I'm going to compare this with what they have, what they posted earlier on this system, which I guess they have not posted it on Twitter. So still, it is expected to become a tropical storm by tonight, and then by around tomorrow night, or Friday night, excuse me. Yes, it could become a severe tropical storm, and then afterwards, by Saturday night, it could become a typhoon, and after that, it could continue to strengthen, and it could near super typhoon status by the time it's nearing the Luzon Strait. The Pegasa forecast does have it more on the southern end of guidance, with it generally moving through the Babuan group of islands. But as you can see here, there is a large spread of uncertainty here from the southern half of Taiwan to the northern half of Luzon, all of which there could see impacts from a major or even super typhoon. But generally, confidence is increasing that wherever it goes will be somewhere in this path. Beyond that, it gets a little bit more uncertain. But yeah, roughly on impacts could start occurring on Monday and into Tuesday. Afterwards, impacts should begin to start clearing by Wednesday, is my best guess. Again, Monday is when impacts will likely begin, with Tuesday being, or with Monday night into Tuesday morning being the main brunt of the impacts, and then into Wednesday things should start calming. This is both for Taiwan and the Philippines. China, it gets a little bit more, China and Hong Kong, it gets a little bit more difficult to time that out. Something else I would like to share with you all is going to be Google's AI model here and showing its forecast. So this is going to be Gabrielle, and then we have 96E. Oh boy, this is getting bad. Okay. Yes, this is a new run. Oh boy. Let's see. Okay. 120 knots now generally is what it's predicting. Yeah, it's a little bit worrying in my opinion with this, showing roughly 37 of the ensembles, 37 out of 50 of them showing a Cat 4 or stronger out of it. Anyways, I will time it out here. This is where the center is expected to be. Again, though, the impacts could happen well outside of wherever the center is. This would be on Monday, I believe Monday, or Sunday night, excuse me. This would be Sunday nights. I think so. Let me just double check. This might be Monday morning. Let's see, I believe that is Monday morning then. Just gonna double check. Because this is a different time zone as well, just want to state that. Okay, yeah, this is going to be Monday morning, I believe then. Okay. Here, I'm just going to verify real quick. This would be 2 p.m., which means 2 a.m. on Thursday. Just trying to figure this out. 2 a.m. on Thursday, 2 p.m. on Thursday, 2 a.m. on Friday, 2 p.m. on Friday, and then 2 a.m. on Saturday, 2 p.m. on Saturday. By around 2 p.m. on Saturday is when it should be nearing typhoon status. And then 2 p.m. on, this would be Sunday at this point, should be a typhoon nearing Cat 2 status. And then looking forward in time there, this would be on Sunday at 2 p.m., I believe. Yes. This would be Sunday at 2 p.m. And then this would be Monday at 2 a.m. There we go. This is when it should be nearing Cat 4 on Monday. Early Monday is when it should be rapidly intensifying or even explosively intensifying. This is when the uncertainty gets pretty high. Is it going to remain a Cat 3 or is it going to try and become a Cat 5 or even higher end as a Cat 5? Beyond that, though, this is going to be roughly Monday at 2 p.m.-ish. That should be when the brunt of impacts start reaching the Luzon Strait, maybe even earlier than that. Again, Monday is going to be the earliest, most likely, and then Tuesday should be the latest. For example, this is going to be Tuesday at 2 a.m. By that point, it should be leaving the Luzon Strait and entering the South China Sea. Beyond that, this would be Tuesday at 2 p.m. Looks like Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be the main days of impacts for Guangdong and Hong Kong. Again, it is quite uncertain. There is a large spread as to where it could go exactly, but it should be either Tuesday or Wednesday, and then beyond that as well, depending on how far to the south it stays. All right, so that's most of this coverage done. Now I'll get into some questions. Let's see. Whoops. Let's see. Yes, Zen. The Western Pacific has turned out or has turned nuts again. It's been not really again. It's been pretty quiet so far. We have yet to have a Cat 4, and this should become that storm. Uh, it's been pretty quiet, so I feel like the Philippines have enjoyed that break after the end of last year. Um, of course, all good things must come to an end with this system. Yes, Nando could try to become a Moranti 2016 repeat. I didn't realize that that was also September, but yeah, similar track. So yes, this could bomb out into one of the strongest tropical cyclones in the basin. It's just it's still quite uncertain, and we don't, and it's just becoming a tropical cyclone now. So a lot can change. We'll see what it does with its structure, if it undergoes eyewall replacement cycles, all that kind of stuff. See, Zen is mentioning, okay, regarding to Nando, there is another cloud cluster in the southern part of Guam somewhere. Are you talking about like a system after it's, or I'm not seeing a whole lot. If you're talking about this system, this might ultimately become the next wave we'll need to watch. I'm not sure though. Let me just double check. Yes, actually, that may be the next system that the Philippines will have to watch after Nando. Wow, so we have all four of our systems here with 23W, 91W, 90W, and then our next wave right here. So right now it's just setting up a train. But first we're going to be focusing on this system. This system has had the most bullish guidance for the longest amount of time. This system is only just recently appearing on guidance. Let's see. Yes, Tara, you're right on that. Nando is going to into an absolutely ridiculous environment. Extreme intensification is possible, and the environment really does support a Cat 5 out of it. If we take a look at the halves run, let's do the halves parent run on it. And if we pull up the upper level environments, we can see just how much of a problem it's going to be. Perfect upper level anti-cyclone. So really, it's perfect for this thing to bomb out completely. It is going to be quite terrifying, potentially, as a very powerful Cat 5. This run showing it reaching, looks like around 150 knots. 151 knots, wow, 155 knots again. Yeah, this could become a very powerful storm. And yes, typhoon within the next 3 days, 2 to 3 days. Looks like within 2.5 days, possibly. So yeah, again, it's a little bit worrying how quickly this system is going to get its act together. And as soon as it does, this thing is just doesn't really have anything stopping it, only internal issues it might face. Looking at the broader view, I like using this right. Oops, wrong one. I like using this to kind of show wind gusts. It's better showing like wind gust here. As we can see though, it is going to be quite a broad system here, so there could be typhoon force gust upwards to Taiwan and parts of northern Luzon, even if it misses northern Luzon and Taiwan directly. Still, though, a lot of tropical storm force gust will happen well outside of the center and even possibly impacting Manila. We'll see. But going towards the actual sustained winds here, we can see tropical storm force winds impacting parts of Taiwan and Luzon. Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, class suspensions will be likely with the system. Zen asks if Nando is not possible for moving southwestward, right, HCC? Okay, let's take a look at the. Let's see here. I'll go into the broad environments as to where it's going to be going, for example. I think the icon does this pretty good on that theory that, oh, it could move to the south. As we can see, most of the thunderstorms will likely be on the southern side, and I believe that's agreed upon by most of these models. Yes, that the thunderstorms are generally going to be on the southern side, which could try to tug the center more to the south. Eventually, though, it is going to be having to move more to the north here. Let's see if I can show a better example here. There's going to be a ridge over the Philippines, but should help try to push it more to the north before eventually it gets stopped by a ridge in, I believe that's the East China Sea there, which then pushes it towards the west. Tries to move north as a trough, tries to lend its hand out to let it escape, but eventually it can't reach, and the ridge builds in again, pushing it off towards the west. I don't really think it's going to move southward. It all depends, though, on as to where all the thunderstorms are firing. Right now, they're all to the south, which typically wants to tug that vortex more to the south. Overall, though, the pattern should be it moves to the northwest. Chase, do you think this thing could reach 200 miles an hour? It literally has all the right conditions it needs. Honestly, yes. I would not rule that out with this system. This system could really easily try to make it to sub 900 millibars. The environment is perfect for it, so I really don't see I don't see why you should completely be doubting it trying to reach that intensity. It all depends on how quickly it gets its act together. Right now, it's a little bit ahead of model forecast, I'd say, which is again a little bit worrying. Um, Again, though, it's going to be internal processes that will determine how how strong it can get. If it has a pinhole core, if it has a larger core, the eyewall replacement cycles, all that stuff. So yes, I do think that probability of Cat 5 is relatively high. Cat 4 is very high with this system. I can say with high confidence that they should be preparing for a possible super typhoon with this. Right now, I would be forecasting probably a Cat 3, just staying conservative on it. What's the chances of it becoming a Cat 5? Um, let's see. Ensembles are never going to do a great job on that, so um, I don't discount Google AI's model for not doing a great job on that. I'd say probably 20 to 30%. That's going to be my take on it. I feel like Cat 4 is probably 80%. Just something has to go terribly wrong for it to not be able to reach that. Cat 3 is probably 95% chance. Everything else is pretty much a guarantee out of this. Let's see. What's the chance of it making landfall in Vietnam compared to Guangdong? Let's take a look at that. I believe there's probably an earlier run of this that I can show. Vietnam probably, I'd say, around a third, like 30% chance that it does that. If we split this up into three sections, there's generally the section going towards Vietnam, there's the section going towards Guangdong, and then there's the section going out over here. Which, no, I just split it up. Okay, I kind of split it up into thirds like that. So there's a third chance that it goes down here and then eventually towards Vietnam. About a third chance that it goes over here into Guangdong province and Hong Kong. About a third chance it goes towards Taiwan and Fujian province and off towards there. The highest confidence, though, is it moving towards Guangdong province in Hong Kong. It's kind of far out to say for sure, but I will be posting cones on this as the code uh, threat levels up or threat increases. Again, pointing this out, we are code red for 23W, and we are code yellow for 90W, 91W, and Gabrielle. The code for 90W is expected to ramp up pretty dramatically as more people realize that this is going to be a threat. Yes, the significant intensification that it could go under, the rapid or extreme intensification, is going to be a little bit scary to try to forecast. Once we start seeing a core develop, we'll probably know it's going to try and reach major status. It all depends on what the core looks like when it first develops it. If Nando somehow goes north, I doubt that in the near term. Once again, because all the thunderstorms are going to be on the southern side of the center, it's going to be pretty lopsided in the beginning, which should try to keep it off, preventing it from going due north. And I believe there's probably going to be a ridge there, yeah, blocking it from going north. It's expected to slide under that ridge there to prevent it from going north, and it just keeps going west, west-northwestwards. Man, I thought Kiko would be Cat 5. The difference between Kiko and this system is this system has much warmer waters and much higher oceanic heat content. And yes, if it goes north, it will likely impact Taiwan more and the Sakishima Islands. And yes, if it's in the south, if it starts moving more to the south and stays on the southern end of guidance, it will likely plow into Luzon, maybe the Cagayan Valley or central Luzon. Let's see, how much rainfall for the Philippines? Let's take a look at that. I'll go for the next. Let's see, I'll keep it at a 5-day forecast. So here, parts of the Baboon group of islands. Okay, it does not like that. I'll go back a little bit more then. Baboon group of islands gets in at around 280 millimeters to 300 millimeters on the European run. The Batanes Islands gets in at around 100 millimeters, and parts of Luzon gets in at around 100 to 200 millimeters of rain. The American run has around 100 to 200 millimeters of rain in Luzon, 150 to 250 for the Baboon group of islands, and roughly 300 to 400 millimeters for the Batanes Islands. Looking at the German run here, parts of Luzon gets in at around 50 to 400 millimeters of rain. Parts of the Baboon group of islands at around 450 millimeters, and the Batanes Islands between 200 and 350 millimeters. So wide variation of how much rain they could get. Yes, those islands between Taiwan and the Philippines will be in trouble. Yep, this is the Luzon Strait. These are the Baboon group of islands, and these are the Batanes Islands. Let's hope let's hope they can miss a direct impact and it can thread the needle between the groups of islands, but we'll see. Yes, I'm going to see if they've made any updates on Pagasa in terms of signal warnings. Oh, whoops, this is the same thing each time. Okay. I swear there's a section that they have signal warnings listed here. I guess they don't. Are there no signal warnings in effect? I swear, yeah, there's signal 1 warnings in effect. This is for... Okay, is that Mirasol, really? Okay. Dang, alright. But yeah, honestly, I'd start preparing now. for the possibility of a super typhoon if you are anywhere in this cone. I'd even include parts of northern, really the entirety of Taiwan. Just start preparing for the possibility that you could get a direct strike from a super typhoon. Chase, how strong do you think Nando's peak will be? Um, okay, that's a good question. I'm going to say you're saying Cat 4 to Cat low end Cat 4 to low end Cat 5. I would probably say low end Cat 4 to high end Cat 5. It's either gonna fail I'd say actually high end Cat 3 is probably gonna be my low end range. Okay, another question. But yeah, I'd say 130 to 100 or 120 to around 190 miles an hour would be my range. Um, it's either going to do really poorly or really well. Or there's some in between there as to eyewall replacement cycles and things like that. Let's see, Chase, what do you think if this Nando is already close to Luzon? Do you think the rainfall is going to be much concentrated in the southern side? Okay, let's take a look at. I'll do the European model here. It is going to become much more symmetrical, probably within the next 3 days or so by the time it's trying to reach typhoon status. By then, it's not really going to be lopsided on the southern end anymore, I don't think. Outflow is pretty much symmetrical at that point, so as you can see, though, it gets a lot better on the northern side, and that's by the points it's starting to reach typhoon status. Um, I don't think there's going to be much of a difference as to where the rainfall is going to be concentrated. Let's see, can I pull this up? Yes, I can. You see, it's kind of symmetrical as to where all the heavy rainfall will be occurring, so I don't really think Luzon gets the worst of it. Maybe Taiwan, honestly, the eastern parts of Taiwan gets the worst of it. If I extend this rainfall forecast from the European run, this is probably going to be a lot higher there for the coast of Taiwan. Yeah, 300 to 400 millimeters of rain possible. KLCG asks, is the Windy app accurate? It is accurate in terms of model data. Now, models themselves, they can be inaccurate, but in terms of displaying models, it does a really good job at it. Okay, I'm going to look at the comments of the last post I made because I swear I saw comments on my last forecast. Okay, it's just the same person there. All right. Okay, let's see. Chase, after Nando, there's going to be some northeastern wind flow will begin in northern Luzon. Now, are you saying northeasterly or from the or to the northeast? I'll figure that out. Probably best to use the AI model on a case like this. If you're talking about to the northeast, yeah, that's going to be the case. It's mainly southerly winds right now, and then they're going to shift towards southwesterlies. Here, so there you go again with the monsoon. So if I pull this up, yeah, you can see the higher rainfall totals there by the Philippines, including even Manila, which could get pretty rainy, looks like. That's going to be towards the early September 20s. Yeah, this is going to be interesting, and I'm glad we have a whole lot of time to watch Nando develop because thankfully this hasn't come out of nowhere. But yes, it needs to be expressed very seriously as to how much of a problem the system could be in just the next few days. So yeah, we're going to watch a tropical depression but go from this to possibly one of the strongest storms ever in the Western Pacific, or at the minimum, just a major to super typhoon. Ace is going to try to rebuild or try to get more Ace because we have this system which could try to become a major typhoon, which should add on some Ace, and then this system as well, depending on how strong it gets and how long it tracks. This system could be tracking over the next 7 days or so. Same for both of these, really. This one beyond that range, or no, I think they're both like 7 days or so. Both of these will be, yeah, 7 days or so for both of them. Going to be a real nice ace producer, so I don't think this is going to push it to average, but it may get close. Yes, good points, Zen. But after Nando, it's not over yet. There's going to be another system, and I'm glad you pointed that out. That was cluster of thunderstorms. That is going to be the next tropical wave. And you can, whoops, these are the ensembles. You can see it right here by vorticity, this yellow coloring. And you can just track that yellow coloring, and then eventually reaches the Philippines, the longer range. But yeah, located to the southeast of the Mariana Islands, including Guam, and then you can see it right over here. You can see the wave axis right here. And yes, this is going to be the next threat after Nando, but let's just please take this one at a time. We just got finished with Mirasol, and we're already dealing with another one. Um, Anyways, I'm going to check if there's any comments for my last video. Oh, and if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe and like the stream. I will continue to do more updates on this. I'll discuss that in a bit. Just gonna make sure there's no questions anyone left there. Yes, okay, yeah, I see people talking about that system saying, oh, it's going to become a major typhoon. Um, Again, this system has a very high potential, and I cannot stress that enough. We already saw one of the half-say runs showing the first half-say run, or no, the one from 2 runs ago or so showing a sub 900 millibar system, so that's pretty much the ceiling. That may not even really be the ceiling. It could reach into the 880s, honestly. Um, the the most recent run is probably a more realistic scenario, staying in the 910s millibars, but still a powerful Category 5. Nothing to scoff about with that. 180 mile an hour winds, I believe, 175, 180 mile an hour winds with this model here, so quite concerning. I believe the halves model has stayed consistently to the south, so I guess I can see why the Pegasa forecast is generally more on the southern end compared to something like the European AI model. But again, I cannot stress this enough, though, as to how much of a concern this system could be in the next 4 to 5 days. So, just going over a brief overview one last time. We are code yellow for 90W. We are currently code red for 23W. That's why we're making this stream, but we're mainly focusing on 90W because it has the greatest long medium range threat. We should see more updates over the coming days. I believe the system's code will rapidly ramp up to probably code red, code pink, and purple. So yeah, we will see more. I will be doing more live live streams about this. If it's not tomorrow, it will be the day after tomorrow. So that will probably be on. Let's see, I keep forgetting that the time zones are different. So yeah, either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Yeah, mentioning that Nando looks like Moranti and Yagi combined. The problem though is this storm is going to bomb out before it even reaches the South China Sea, so it really reminds me of Moranti. Speaking of which, I will do those a favor who don't know about that storm, and I will pull it up. This is one of the strongest storms on record in the globe. Yeah, so really, this is a very similar setup. Oh God. Okay. Yeah. Geez, and yeah, this is. I believe this does have a contender for the strongest tropical cyclone in the globe ever in recorded history. Um, let's just really hope it does not hit an island at this intensity. That would be devastating. Um, Geez. Okay. Yep, but fortunately we do have time to watch this, and I will continue to keep you guys updated. Um, I will be posting a forecast cone most likely tomorrow. About that, you can find that on Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky, and YouTube in their post section. Yeah, Moranti was 205 to 215 miles an hour sustained. Um, the system could try to make a run for that. I'm not gonna discount that. Yes, well, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next update. Stay safe.